pragmatic, has strengthened us. You've seen that we've been there for you.
The service disruption has been long and it's not over yet. We are making positive progress toward restoring rail service. This is good news. We continue to monitor our bus service, listen to our feedback, and make adjustments where possible to improve your trip. Everyone at OC Transpo is very excited to be able to welcome our customers back. Preparations are already underway to ensure the system is ready. I would like now to ask Joël Lemieux, Manager of the Transit Operation Control Center, to speak about those activities to get ready. Over to you, Joël.
Merci beaucoup, René. Today I'll be speaking about what our team is doing to get ready for the gradual, safe resumption of service. As part of the work to resume service, we're conducting specific activities that will ensure that Line 1 is ready for our customers. There are lots of logistics underway to prepare for welcoming our customers back. These activities include trial running of trains to ensure that all systems are functioning properly, reviewing all stations to ensure that they are clean and ready to open, ensuring all the customer signage and announcement systems are working properly, putting in place additional signage or wayfinding that will help assist customers to navigate the stations and platforms. In addition to this, we have a plan to ensure that we proactively share as much information as we can with customers as we go. Over the weekend, we are also monitoring the motorcycle rally for any potential impacts to R1 service downtown. Right now, there are no changes to R1 service, and we will provide updates to customers if required. The entire team is happy to be doing the preparatory work to welcome back our customers, and we will be ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. I will now invite each media agency to ask their questions. You may ask one question with one follow-up. We'll start today with Elise Skura at CBC Ottawa.
Thanks very much. My first question is about the risk assessment process. I'm just wondering, now that you've gotten a look at it, what kinds of risks were identified and how they're being addressed?
Thank you for the question. Richard, can you take this one, please?
Yeah, thank you. So just in terms of the risk assessment process, what we do is we look back at the documentation that was provided at the time that the service went into revenue. So going back to 2019, we have a large safety case document, which includes a suite of other documents. So we have a track justification report, we have a vehicle justification report, we have a hazard log. So the process of undertaking the risk analysis for this specific incident involves looking at those reports, determining what is changing as a consequence in this instance of moving the restraining rail out, and making an assessment of the change in the risk. To date, we don't believe that there is any change in the risk profile associated with the running of the system. We just need to ensure that we've done our due diligence on reviewing all the appropriate documentation. So it's a case of bringing all the documents and the evidence together and being satisfied that we're making the right decisions for the right reasons moving forward.
And sorry, I just want to confirm. So this is like risks very broadly about making sure that it still runs, that there won't be derailments, that there won't be damage to trains or damage to the tracks, like all of those kinds of risks.
Yeah, and to be a little bit more specific, we talk about the hazards associated with a transit system. So, there is a hazard associated with a derailment, and there are various measures that we have in place to deal with that hazard. We call those mitigations, and the restraining rail is just one of those mitigations against derailment. There are a number of other mitigations that are in place. So the kind of language that we're using is related to hazards and mitigations, and the resultant level of risk that is considered to be either acceptable or unacceptable. And of course, we want it to be acceptable. Otherwise, we will not be moving forward with opening up the line.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And secondly, I think in a past media availability, it was said that this was this problem that's been found now with the restraining rails having more constant contact. It was a maintenance issue rather than a design of the track issue. I'm just wondering if you could further explain like how this kind of issue comes about.
Nicolas, please.
Thank you for the question. When we refer to a maintenance issue, what we refer to is effectively the evolution and the evolution of the system and the wear on the system. So specifically what we're looking at is the adjustment cycles to the restraining rail as a result of the track evolving, still within the parameters of our maintenance manual, but in terms of the adjustment cycle to make sure that we eliminate this contact.
Okay, so evolving, like it could happen again.
No, not necessarily, because the way we this work that we've done over the last 2 weeks or so has helped us clarify some of the additional adjustment parameters, which we now need to take into consideration, and that will effectively give us the ability to adjust the restraining rail much more efficiently and ensure that there are no resulting contact.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elise. We'll go next to Sarah Crookall at City News, Ottawa.
Thank you. So you just mentioned that the restraining rail is just one mitigation measure. What about the rail inclination? I know in the public inquiry report, that was noted as something that was an issue, that it wasn't fully matched with the wheel. Is that still an issue? And if so, how confident are you that the pressures on the train won't continue to be a problem?
Richard?
Yeah, so that's a good example of one of the other mitigations against the derailment of the train is the wheel-rail interface. But the current configuration of the wheels and the top of rail as recently being ground is sufficient to be able to say that we do not have a risk of derailment because of that current wheel rail interface that exists on the line.
Okay. Thank you. And then what about maintenance staffing? That was also something that was mentioned. Are you confident that you have enough staff to monitor the maintenance schedule and everything that is required to keep riders safe?
Enrique, please.
Thank you for the question. From RTM and our subcontractors, we are working in ensuring that we have enough capacity to meet the new requirements after the risk assessment. So we are reorganizing the staff to ensure that the people that we need for each one of the maintenance operations is ready and trained for these specific tasks.
And I would like to add that OC Transpo is overseeing all of those steps to make sure that we can have a safe, sustainable, reliable service.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And we'll go next to Josh Pringle at CTV Ottawa.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. My first question is, you have previously mentioned that the restraining rails will have to move about 1 to 2 millimeters, which to a non-transit expert sounds like a pretty simple process to just move the rail. What sort of work is required to move these restraining rails 1 to 2 millimeters or whatever the measurement is to make sure that it is that solves the issue moving forward before LRT service resumes?
Enrique, please.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, it's true that it seems relatively easy to move something 1 or 2 millimeters, but the reality is that the restraining rail is a very heavy steel profile that is bolted to the some components of the track, the superstructure. That means that it requires a significant amount of workforce, specialized machines, and also trained people in order to be sure that the final configuration of the restraining rail is the right one. So it's just a couple of millimeters, but we are talking about a lot of work to do that movement.
When O train service does resume, hopefully on August 14th, it'll be 28 days since LRT service was shut down. And I know a lot of the focus has been focusing on this issue. Has OC Transpo and RTG been looking at any other outstanding maintenance issues that could be conducted along the rail and take advantage of the shutdown, or is everything up to date right now in terms of where you think everything needs to be for a safe operation of the system?
Maybe Richard, you can take that one.
Yeah, it's something that has been under discussion for several weeks now, almost as soon as we had the shutdown. Obviously, the focus has been very much on the work that we need to do to resume service, but we have taken advantage of the fact that we've not had trains in passenger service running on the main line. So there's a number of preventative maintenance activities that have taken place within the corridor. And we've also been able to get ahead a little bit on some of the stage 2 work at the Blair interface, where we're extending the line as part of the stage 2 construction. We've been able to give some extra space to the constructor EWC for stage 2. So that there has been other work activities for sure over the last 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. We'll go next to Joanne Locious at the Ottawa Citizen.
So for the foreseeable future, will you be running the system on single cars?
Can you repeat the question, please?
You'll be running the trains as only one vehicle, not there's no expectation of moving to two vehicles?
Oh, we'll because now RTG is improving a lot the quantity of LRV's availability. So we will consider to run either one car or two, but we didn't take the decision yet. But so far so good, and we'll let you know for sure what will be the final decision on the next daily press conference.
Okay, and I have a technical question about your train operators. Have some of them or most of them moved on to bus operations? I take it that train operators are also trained bus operators. Is that correct?
Joel?
So at this point, there's 46 rail operators that have moved over to assist with bus. There's opportunities to bring back a few more, but we also require a fair number of rail operators still to do the testing and to support our customers and stations during this disruption.
And what's the total number of train operators that you have?
On line 1, it's, I can't really give precise numbers, so we'll have to circle back with you on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Joanne. You can reach out to the media relations team with questions of that nature later on as well. On va continuer maintenant avec Jean-Sébastien Marié.
Jean-Sébastien Marié from Radio-Canada. Thank you very much. Before I ask my first question, could you perhaps summarize the nature of work that's required? You said you need to move the restraining rail by a couple of millimeters. Nicolas, could you answer that question, please, in French? I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. Well, 1 or 2 millimeters seems to be very, very little, but you do have to understand that we're talking about steel rails here. We need specific equipment, specific machines. We have to make minute adjustments. We have to make sure we reposition the rail at the right place. So this is a sustainable solution for the long term, which will allow us to ensure passenger safety and to avoid contact between the wheels and the restraining rail. I could perhaps add additional information here. The restraining rail is held in place by brackets which are bolted into the ground. Each bolt has to be removed. They have to be moved. The brackets have to be moved. They have to be replaced, put back in a new position. The smaller the distance, the more difficult it is. So that takes specialist experts to do that work. Thank you very much. It was very clear. My first question, we received a list of 8 curves that seem to be problematic. Given the analysis that you've done, is it just 8 points in the network that require work? Well, there are 16 curves. This doesn't mean that each curve needs work. I would imagine that the list you have is the list of work that needs to be done. We'll have to look at each of the curves to make sure that each curve is compliant with Atkins recommendations. That's why we've said that we'll be doing tests. We want to make sure that the vehicles don't touch the restraining rail. Thank you very much. My second question from Mr. Gower. When things reopen on the 14th, it'll be a month since the initial shutdown. Many passengers have lost trust in you. What do you intend to do? We've asked you about compensation, but concretely, what can you do to encourage people to believe that the system is reliable and safe before people get back to work and to school? Answer. I have a lot of confidence in OC, Transpo, administration and management, and when we restart the train system, we know it has to be and will be a safe system for our passengers. I think on the 14th of August or whenever service restarts, passengers and Ottawa residents will see a safe and reliable train system. And that's what we have to demonstrate to regain the trust of passengers. Thank you very much.
Merci.
Thank you.
We do have time for a few more questions today. So as usual, if the journalists in the room can just click that raise hand button and we will start coming to you when we see some hands. Elise Skura at CBC, you can go ahead.
Hi, yes, thank you very much. My question is for RTG. I was just wondering if RTG had received the root cause analysis from the National Research Council from the August 2021 derailment, and if so, when it was received.
Just to clarify, we haven't specifically asked the National Research Council to determine the root cause analysis. Essentially, we've asked the National Research Council to help us understand the technical analysis, the measurements, the data, the vehicle behavior, to try to provide a bit of an independent perspective on the information that was being collected. And we are still working with the National Research Council to generate that data. I'm sure you can appreciate over the past few weeks, we've been busy with reestablishing revenue service, but that's certainly something we'll be following up with the National Research Council.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Elise. Joanne Lashus at the Ottawa Citizen.
Is there anything that you can reasonably expect that would prevent you from returning to service on August 14th?
For now, I'm confident. We're working very hard, and today we are very confident.
Okay, thank you.
Jean-Sébastien.
Jean-Sébastien, any further questions? Yes, I do. I'd like to ask a question not linked to the train. This weekend, there is a possible demonstration in the downtown core. The train goes through the tunnel and avoids demonstrations. What measures have you taken to make sure the bus service is not interrupted? Joanne.
So right now we're working very closely with police and traffic services on this one.
En français, Joël, tu parles français?
Essayez en français.
I can do it in French if you like. We're working closely with the police and traffic services on the situation. Nothing indicates now that there will be a lot of disruption caused by the possible demonstration. but we've put in place plans just in case, and we'll be communicating with our passengers if we have to change the stops. Thank you very much.
And we'll go lastly to Josh Pringle at CTV.
Thank you very much. Just a question for RTG with all the work that has to be done over the next 10 days. Did you have to bring in any staff from other locations, or was all staff and equipment in Ottawa all ready to help you adjust the restraining rails?
Enrique, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Well, we are using the resources of our usual contractors, and also we are getting some extra resources from specialized companies in this sector. But I believe all of them are from Ottawa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. And that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Have a great Thursday rather. Take care.
Thank you.